Welcome back to WoW Recap. Today's recap is about a 2014 superhero adventure film named The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Spoiler ahead, watch out and have fun. The movie opens in a flashback. Richard Parker attempts to explain himself about his experiments at Oscorp before going missing by recording a video message. He boarded an aircraft with his wife Mary Parker, and that plane is hijacked by the co-pilot who's assigned to assassinate him. While attempting to transfer the footage to a hidden place, he makes an attempt on his life. Spider-Man is now pursuing criminals who are smuggling a truckload of hazardous materials called plutonium across the city. He promises to keep his distance from Gwen Stacy after seeing a vision of her late father, Captain Stacy, while on the phone with her. He saves the life of Max Dillon during the chase. Following that, Peter and Gwen kiss during their high school graduation ceremony. Later on in the evening, though, Peter informs Gwen about the visions he's been experiencing and argues that he must follow his word, causing Gwen to end their relationship. Harry Osborn visits his family after spending years away from the city and speaks with his extremely ill father, Norman Osborn. Harry is the age where illness will start to manifest. Norman continues, and Harry has a hereditary predisposition to it. He gives Harry a little gadget that he claims holds his life's work before passing away. Following the news of Norman Osborn's passing the following day, Harry Osborn assumed leadership of Oscorp. Max Dillon, an electrician at Oscorp, shows in to work on his birthday, believing he and Spider-Man are best friends. He stumbles while performing some risky maintenance, falling into an experimental tank with modified electric eels. He therefore transforms into a human mass of electricity. Peter discovers the news of Norman's passing the next day. Harry is in a meeting with the board at the same time where they discuss Oscorp's problems, beginning with the intense public scrutiny and the weight of Dr. Connor's recent breach of trust, which means that everyone's mad at Oscorp because Dr. Connors attempted to turn everyone in New York into giant lizards. Given that, all the animal hybrid programs he was involved in were destroyed to restore investor confidence, says Harry. Harry responds with sadness after hearing this. That's the Osborn way, just get rid of whatever's inconvenient. Harry's informed that because he's the CEO, he'll be subject to a lot of scrutiny. The board believes Harry's best course of action is believable denial. Harry continues to whine about how, as a 20-year-old with a $200 billion corporation, he can't possibly comprehend what his father was thinking. He makes the observation that because every member of the board is a lawyer, someone should have eventually questioned Norman's sanity. Present discussion would have been much simpler if someone had had him declared legally incompetent. Harry interrupts the corporate lawyer as he starts to explain, initially calling him Harry, saying that it's Mr. Osborn and that they're not friends. As the crowd begins to calm down, Harry recognizes Felicia Hardy, who will serve as his new assistant because she previously worked for Norman before he passed away. Everyone at the table is informed by him that they will all work for her since she is his employee. Harry is informed that Peter has arrived and is waiting for him, interrupting the meeting. The two are reunited after 10 years, catching up and hanging out in a park as the board discreetly listens in on their talk. Peter meets Gwen later on in an effort to keep the friendship going. In the meanwhile, Max Dillon awakens in the crematorium and learns his new abilities. He takes off after grabbing a jacket. He craves energy as he moves outdoors and takes energy from the neighboring autos before moving to Times Square, where he feels more energized. Gwen informs Peter that she needs to go to England because of a work opportunity when they're hanging out. While searching for electricity to fuel himself, Max unintentionally turns off the power to Times Square. Before the two can talk about it, Max is seen throughout Times Square where he is in fact visible. Spider-Man makes an effort to defuse the situation. Then Spider-Man stops him from destroying others. As Spider-Man gradually replaces Electro across Times Square, Electro comes to believe that Spider-Man is only selfish. Max, however, believes that Spider-Man has betrayed him and strikes when the cops attempt to shoot him. He's finally stopped by Spider-Man and brought to the Ravencroft Institute. Peter creates a collage of Gwen and mostly his thoughts about his parents' inexplicable disappearance on the wall of his room after seeing himself on the news while at home relaxing. A video showing next-generation military body armor that incorporates an enhanced mobility unit, combat injury healing, and a direct nervous system interface is found among confidential papers that Harry discovers while using the gadget his father gave him to access Oscorp computer files. He also starts to experience the symptoms of his illness. He then discovers the Double Zero Project, which is the father of his and Peter's study into ordinary household spiders, with the capability to self-heal from serious illness, tissue damage, etc. It says that they employed a radioactive isotope that had human DNA that's compatible. Ironically, Peter was bitten by the same spider, and Harry thinks that Spider-Man's blood might be able to save him. The following morning, Harry is terminally ill and needs Spider-Man's blood because he thinks it would save him and have healing properties. Harry phones Peter and requests assistance. When Peter meets him, Harry thinks he's Spider-Man since Peter frequently shoots images of the superhero. Harry continues to demand that Peter find Spider-Man, despite Peter's denial, and Peter grudgingly agrees before departing. Max Dillon, who undergoes tests, adopts the name Electro. Aunt May questions Peter about his most recent findings at home. When Peter discusses his parents, her eyes always drop and he urges her to tell him about his father. He asserts that there's something she's withholding from him. She describes how his father abandoned him, upending the young boy's life and leaving him with no reason. Peter demands to know everything, so Aunt May fills him in. She tells him that after his parents' burial, 2 government officials showed up at her house and accused him of betraying the Oscorp by stealing valuable research that would have cost a lot of money. Then, even though he wants to help, Spider-Man visits Harry and declines to give him his blood because of concern that it would injure or kill Harry, or possibly transform him into a monster like what happened to Dr. Connors, who later became the Lizard. Harry replies that he has nothing to lose because he's already nearing his end. With his final breaths, he accuses Spider-Man angrily of being fake, who just pretends to inspire hope. Then, Peter arrives at Gwen's location and tries to speak with her about what he's learned about his parents and how he wants to help Harry, but he's unable to. The desk clerk interrupts them before he has a chance to finish what he was going to say. When Peter inquires about their whereabouts, Gwen replies that she is now in her final interview at Oxford. Peter burns the collage he created at home because he's dissatisfied with the way things are going there. Then he hurls a calculator at the wall, scattering countless subway tokens. The word Roosevelt appears on the tokens, so Peter looks it up. Harry's dissatisfied with how events are developing in the meantime. Felicia expresses concerns for his well-being and offers whatever assistance he may provide. Before instructing her to take the day off, Harry replies that the only thing he needs are dead spiders. Felicia then provides Harry with information, alleging that she overheard Mencken talking with one of the security heads. Mencken allegedly claimed that Oscorp extracted and stored the spiders' venom before killing them in order to comply with lawsuits, while still holding onto the spider's data in case it ever proved useful. Felicia responds that it is on a special projects-related sublevel when Harry inquires about its location. After that, Harry starts looking through the special projects files on the Oscorp mainframe, where he discovers information on the Oscorp current tests on Max Dillon, who's now going by the name Electro. Following the interruption, the Oscorp board removes Harry as CEO after accusing him of concealing the disaster involving Max Dillon. Peter finds his father's lab in a deserted stretch of the New York subway, thanks to the study on Roosevelt. When Peter finally obtains admission to the lab, he finds a video message from his father detailing his father's research, in which Richard claimed that Norman Osborn was the one selling secrets and that when Richard protested, Norman fabricated evidence against him. Richard also disclosed that the cross-species spiders were programmed to his DNA and would only work on his bloodline, absolving Peter of any responsibility for Harry, since by refusing to give him his blood to fight the sickness, he had really rescued his buddy. Richard adds that he was forced to leave New York because he refused to support Norman Osborn's intentions to utilize the biological weapons they had developed via his study. Peter then gets a voicemail from Gwen on his way out, informing him that she'd been offered the position in England and was on her way to the airport to travel there sooner than anticipated due to an earlier class. The two decide to travel to England together when Peter manages to catch her and declares his love for her. A blackout brought on by Electro cuts them off. When the police are nearby, Peter drags Gwen away and she aids him in fighting Electro by using his web shooters. Electro has the upper hand when Peter enters the battle. Gwen arrives in a police cruiser and strikes Electro as Electro holds Spider-Man in the air and is about to electrocute him, defying Peter's orders and claiming that it was her decision to help him. The two decide to overwhelm Electro's electrical source in order to beat him. Just as they're about to leave, Harry Osborn, now going by the name of the Green Goblin, reveals there and recognizes Spider-Man by seeing him with Gwen. After being denied the necessary blood transfusion, Harry becomes irate. Gwen is taken by Goblin, who then drops her where Spider-Man can catch her. At the top of the clock tower, the two engage in combat, and Spider-Man eventually defeats the Goblin. Gwen, however, stumbles during the battle and gets caught by a web attached to one of the gears. Gwen falls once again as the gears fail. The goblin is subsequently vanquished, and Peter uses his web to attempt to save Gwen. She smacks her head on the floor and collapses as Peter tries to catch her. It's been 5 months since Gwen's demise. Since then, Peter spends every day at Gwen's tomb, and Spider-Man is no longer saving the day. Gustav Fiers, an Oscorp employee, pays Harry Osborn a visit and informs him that they've discovered a candidate to operate a sizable suit of armor. The man is Alexei Savichich, the criminal who Spider-Man apprehended at the beginning of the movie. Under the alias The Rhino, he assaults the city streets while wearing the costume. A videotape of Gwen's commencement address gives Peter the motivation he needs to battle Rhino once more as Spider-Man. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to many such videos. Thanks for watching, and take care.